Hey guys, okay, so today we're going to try stromboli. Now, the reason I say try is because with the videos, I'm limited to 15 minutes, so I might have to kind of pause and come back and forth. I did this morning, I went ahead and made one batch of dough because you'll kind of see as we do this, this uses an actual homemade dough, a yeast dough. So we're going to start with 1 cup of very hot water, and our water gets pretty hot, so if you kind of heard me turn that on, and then stop. That's actually what I was doing. So I'm going to use for this, we're going to use 1 tablespoon of sugar. Okay, so I'm going to level that off with my knife, the straight edge. I'm going to put that into my hot water, and then I'm going to use 1 tablespoon of yeast. You can buy, if you have packages of yeast, and we always say at school, like if you buy yeast by the package, you can. It's just cost effective to buy it in bulk. Sorry. I thought I had everything out from this morning when I made it. So we're going to mix our yeast and our sugar in with our water using our whisk. I want to make sure I get it on the sides. Scrape all that yeast down in there. Okay? Then I'm going to set this over to the side. Now, within a couple of minutes, actually I can set this over here. See if I can turn it. I probably won't be able to figure that out, but I'm going to put my whisk in the sink because a lot of times, even at school, I'll tell people, you want to be careful and not go back and re-whisk it, because once it starts to separate, just like a carbonated beverage, a pop or a root beer, you want to make sure that you can go ahead and use it, and if you mix it up, you're not going to be able to. Now, I mentioned the yeast, so I get it like this in bulk from Dutch Cupboard. It's a whole lot cheaper, and then you can stick it in the freezer and just kind of use it as needed, however much you want. Okay, so we're going to start with our flour. Now, the stromboli recipe calls for 2 to 3 cups of flour, but it will tell you that you only start with 1. Now, we know that I'm a little bit messy, but for this one, it's definitely okay if I'm messy, because I do need some flour on my countertop anyway, okay? Because we're going to use the dough that I already have made in a minute so you can see how to roll this out. So we're going to tap, 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 and then we're going to level. We're going to start with 2 cups. We're going to pour that in, and then we're going to use 1.5 teaspoons of salt, okay? Which absolutely, and I just have this trusty, I think I've showed you guys before. This one's kind of easy because you can do it all in one. So if we're thinking about saving dishes, remember with salt, we don't want to measure over our bowl, and you'll kind of hear why. Oh. Hang on 1 second. We're just going to pour that, and then we're going to scrape it. We're going to stick that in there. Now, Italian seasoning, you can use Italian seasoning if you want. You would use up to a tablespoon. I'm going to go ahead and pour this in my tablespoon. And then I'll try to level it as best I can. But watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it into the palm of my hand. Honestly, the Italian seasoning is optional. If you want to use it, great. If not, don't. I'm just going to rub in the palm of my hand. That's going to open up the Italian seasoning. It's going to make it much more fine. So you're actually going to get more flavor from it. You're going to smell it. This is going to smell really good. But if you don't, if you don't have Italian seasoning, or if you don't want Italian seasoning, then, by all means, don't do that. It won't be a big deal. Okay. So we're going to pour that in there. You can kind of see that. It is quite a bit. Then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of oil. Oops. I'll go ahead and use this one. And for this part, I'm going to use vegetable oil. And as I'm doing this, I can tell you that I'm not confident I'm going to be able to get this done, this part and the next part in 15 minutes. So this might have to be a 2-part video because the next part's kind of important too. So we might just do this one as like our basic pizza dough, and then I'll stop it, upload it, and there will be a second video for stromboli. Okay? All right. Dough hook. Whatever. This is your dough hook. Okay? The same way, find your little notch. Push it up, turn it. If you want, you could kind of mix that up with something else first. We'll just go ahead and let the dough hook kind of go. We may need to add up to 1 cup of flour. Now, if you can kind of see this, where's my camera? And how do I still not know? Okay. See how it's kind of starting to separate? As soon as it starts to separate, you're actually good. Okay. So I'm going to pour this in. And I would say you want to make sure you scrape the sides in case you have some extra yeast on the side. You do want to get that in there because that's going to help your dough to rise. Okay. We might have to add I said we would add up to another cup. We'll kind of see how this looks once we get it going. I'm going to open it up. And I will tell you, I do use this. This is like our basic. That's kind of why I have this one memorized. This is just a basic pizza crust recipe. This is a lot of dough, okay? So if you've ever seen the stromboli, if you remember, like in creative cooking, we make it, in food fundamentals, this is usually a favorite. Today I'm gonna make pepperoni and ham, but you have lots of different, topping options or inside options. So it's kind of gonna be whatever you want to put in it, okay? And even though this flour is driving me crazy, I'm gonna leave it there because when I go to roll out the stromboli, I'm gonna need some extra flour on the counter anyway. Okay, so you can't necessarily see that. I wonder if I pull this. Oh yeah, check that out. Can you kind of see that? Yeah. Okay, so you'll kind of see it'll start to pick it up. Now I can kind of tell. Actually, I can leave that there. I'm going to add, I brought over my half a cup, so I could add like a half a cup at a time. You remember the one day I was using, I forget what, and I got a big flour cloud. That happens to me a lot, and then I have a big mess. I feel like that was sugar though, which might be more annoying to clean up. You just kind of want to add a little bit in at a time so you can see it has to pick up all the flour, okay? You do not want it to be dried out. And as I mentioned a couple times, we're going to flour the counter a decent amount. Whew, excuse me. All right, it's looking pretty good. It's starting to stick. And one ball, which is what we want to happen. I can still see a little bit of flour down at the bottom. Now, at the beginning when I said I really was going to try to rush this, it's not going to be possible to get it done. But I'm actually okay with that because you have to get this part right. A lot of people are nervous and they're like, I've never made homemade dough. I can't make homemade bread. Yeast seems, it's not. I promise you this is so easy and so inexpensive, okay? This is one of those things. It is Friday. If you guys are watching today, this will be our last day of entree week. So this is a super easy, delicious thing to make for at home on a Friday night. It is not necessarily, oh, I got a hoodie coming up behind me. It might not, it's not like cauliflower crust or anything like that, but it's not the worst, okay? All right, so I think we got it all. Let me check it and see. You don't want it to be, it's still a little bit sticky, okay? So, I don't know what Ken's is doing with her hood, but we don't want it to be real sticky, so we're just going to turn it on. And if there's extra flour, you can leave it in. It'll stay in the bottom of the bowl, and that's okay. It doesn't have to all get mixed in. You don't want extra flour. We always talk about, it's kind of a joke, flour doesn't add flavor because it has lots of functions, lots of reasons in your recipe. But like flavor, you're not typically adding extra flour for flavor. Okay, I'm loving this. So I'm going to take this off and show you how this looks. Scoot this back. Okay, so see how we've got this nice, see how you can push on it and it's going to come up. So we could kind of set it on the counter. You can give it a couple more kneads if you want. In class, usually I will say you don't have to do that. If you have used your mixer, you should be okay. All right, so I'm going to take this super pretty, squishy ball of yeast dough, and I'm going to put it in a bowl, okay? I'm actually going to spray, let me see. Oh, okay. I'm actually going to spray this bowl. Only because that'll kind of help it when I go to pull it out. I'm going to set it in here just like this. I'm going to saran wrap it real tight so that no air gets in so it doesn't dry it out. And then you have to wait because it's a yeast dough. Now, I made one ahead of time, so I'll kind of go ahead and upload this one, or at least pause it and get it saved, and then I'll make the next one on how to do the stromboli. Okay, I'll be right back.